Hi, I'm Kevin of Humane Wildlife Solutions, and I've been asked to speak today about rats. Now, I founded and run Humane Wildlife Solutions, which is Europe's only non-lethal, ethical, environmentally friendly vegan alternative to pest control. And one of the species we work with a lot across the UK and Europe is rats. And we have found ways that you can work with rats without harming them. So no use of kill traps, no use of poisons. It's just a way to understand issues they're causing and finding solutions so rats don't need to be harmed. So Rat Awareness Week. As you can see this beautiful picture of this lovely little rat. I'm really honoured to be asked to talk at the event, and I'll start my presentation now. I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to be presenting to you the non-lethal approach to a rat conflicts. So who am I? I gave you a little description already. Been running this business now nearly for 10 years. We've won multiple awards, and we help high street clients, and that can be from commercial clients, really, really big chains, right down to small independent shops, and also residential people. Over the years, we've really proven our services to these clients, and they know that it works. And that's the best thing, by having these two really big high street names that we look after their stores, and it's nearly getting up to 200 stores we cover for them across the UK now, is testament to the fact that you don't need to kill wildlife, especially rats, when there is conflicts happening in their business. And the same applies to people's homes. You don't need to harm rats. So if you have a rat problem, or know someone who has issue with rats, and that could be in their home, their business, or even in their garden, get them to get in touch, and I can find them a non-lethal solution. So we don't see rats in the same negative way that other people do. I know rats are social creatures. They are a really good little family unit. They express many different emotions, and they're, I guess, not too similar to us in that instance. So if there's a creature which lives in these family groups, expresses these emotions and have feelings, and we know they do, then why we have to ask, are pest controllers still poisoning and killing them? There has to be a different way, and we offer that service, and we proudly offer that service. And I love working with rats. I just think they're fantastic, fantastic creatures. So just to kind of validate the work we do, we always like to show people the awards we've won. Because some people will go, no, you can't not kill rats and solve a problem. Well, we've been doing it nearly 10 years, and we've been awarded for this. And as you can see here, there's a few awards that we won. We won the Scottish Pest Control Service of the Year 2021 in Scotland, something I'm very, very proud of, the Prestige Awards. And the food and drinks industry also gave us Best Pest Control Service in Scotland as well. So that shows, even for those more high-risk clients, so food businesses, where they're having issues with wildlife, that we can go out there and help solve their problems too. We have a lot of food businesses on our books that we help look after and protect their shops, and no animal has to die in that process. And the last one was the Global Vegan Awards, and we won the UK Vegan Wildlife Business of the Year. Again, very, very proud to have won that award, and the other two as well. So just to back up all of the information, I'll put a few testimonials up on the screen here. And these are all from rat clients. And as you can see, and I'll let you read them just a little bit, but this is just a very, very small segment of our testimonials with people who we've helped, who have had rat issues in their homes and in their businesses, and we've resolved it without having to harm any rats. So hopefully now I've convinced you that you can deal with rats in a non-lethal way. Like I say, we've been doing it for 10 years, and we know rats very, very well, and they're tough to work with because they're very, very clever little creatures. But these testimonials, like I say, just help to show that our service works, and there is a way, and we don't need to be killing rats with poisons or snap traps or any other horrible device people come up with. So, if you get a chance to share this, please do, because I think it's really important to spread the message to people. Because if you're here watching the Rat Awareness Week, you're probably loving rats. just like I do, but not everyone does. So by sharing this video and other stuff that Rat Awareness Week promote throughout the week, it'll be a really good way to help try and help people understand rats a bit better, help them see rats how we do, for the amazing, clever creatures that they are. And in that way, maybe more people will stop using poisons and killing them when they realize those methods don't really work after all. So one of the things you'll see about rats, and you've probably all seen the scare stories, is misleading media. So here's just a little example of how our media likes to make sure we fear rats when really we don't need to. So this one here, millions of starving giant rats could invade British homes this Christmas. That was in November 2020. It didn't happen because scaremongering once more. Or Brits face super rat explosion next year as rodents now immune to pest control. Well, firstly, when I say pest control, I mean rodenticides. And when they mean immune to them, there is immunity throughout the country. I believe there are some in like Glasgow and Edinburgh, there's some in Birmingham, and there's some in particularly in the southeast, you know, London and the southeast of England. You know, some populations are over 90% resistant to poisons. Now, what's that telling you? If they're becoming immune to these poisons, the pest control is going to say we need to use stronger poisons, but we don't. This is nature's own way of saying those methods don't work. What it's telling you is we need to look at a new alternative, because if they're becoming immune to poisons, we need to change the way we do it. And you know what? Here's a radical idea. Let's do away with poisons and understand the creatures we're working with, understand why they're coming into our homes and businesses or gardens, and deal with that. Because once you deal with those issues on that level, you don't need to harm those animals. You'll understand the drivers that force them into contact and conflict with humans, and you can remove those drivers and the rats will remove themselves. Another one, the summer of the cannibal rats. Hungry, aggressive, highly fertile, coming to our homes. Again, it didn't really happen, did it? And you know, it's just another one of those misleading stories about rats. And you notice with all these headlines, there's always these really emotive words they put in there to try and get reaction from the reader of the story. And it's almost like they've become clickbait for these big newspapers and media outlets. It's almost like they're having a really quiet day in the news. So they need to come up with some kind of scare story to get us all worried and panicking, because these things never really explode the way they say, or a summer of the cannibal rat. Just doesn't really happen. So for the love of rats, I can't go saying about all these bad things about rats that the media portray without saying some of the good things. So if you're, again, Rat Awareness Week, you're here because you love rats, you'll probably know about some of the amazing groups who love and appreciate rats, both domestic and wild rats. So I love them. Wild Rats, as you can see on the screen there, is probably one of my most favorite rat groups on social media. That one's on Facebook if you want to go and find it, by the way. If there's others that you know of, which are really, really great, then you can send me an email with a link. At the end of this presentation, there'll be a link to the email, which is info@humanewildlifesolutions.co.uk. There's other ones, For the Love of Rats, another really fantastic rat group. And you can see, I mean, come look at these pictures. They're so cute. They're so fantastic. And both these groups really help portray the positive side of both domestic and wild rats. And, you know, one of the things I always say to people when I'm out doing rat jobs, you know, if people have had pet rats in the past, they'll know how clever, intelligent, loving, and social these creatures are. Now, their wild cousins are no different. So when we know that these animals, how they share their lives with us, and how they react to their environment and to us as well, we know we shouldn't be doing anything to harm the wild rats, because they have that full range of emotions and thought process that our domestic rats have too. And of course, another rat group that you can join. And I believe all these are on Facebook. So if you want to have a look at them, go give them a like. If you're already in them, then share this video there so they can appreciate this video too. So some stories of rats, the Carnimata. the Rat Temple of Rajasthan. I mean, this is fantastic. They are worshipped in this temple. And guess what? All these diseases we are told, which are going to make us ill or put us in hospital, or these cannibal rats, the invasion of the rats, they don't seem to happen here. And that's one of the things, you know, I have worked with rats nearly 10 years now. And I've been in situations where I've had to be crawling through loft spaces under buildings with rat droppings and urine everywhere. And I've never been ill from it. So if I can, you know, be in these environments and not become ill, and a temple can have all these rats come, which they worship, and them not become ill because they understand them and know they're not the dirty creatures we're so led to believe. In fact, I always find rats to be very, very clean creatures. You know, most people will know that rats will have their nest site in one place, their food stored in another, and they'll go and do their toilets elsewhere. They rarely mix the three, and it just shows you just how clean they are. And if you've had rats before, you'll know that they spend a lot of time cleaning themselves. So maybe rats are a bit more clean than us humans. But hey, I can't really say that too much because that'll probably upset people, but it's probably true. And then you've got other stories of rats. The Apopo hero rats. You know, these rats were given awards for helping humans. Although I don't really think it's fair to put those rats at risk with these landmines I believe they were helping to remove. But these rats, again, you know, this is another positive story. Rats helping people. You know, what more could people want if they don't like rats than seeing this? And then how could they not like these rats if they're risking their lives? And it's a lovely story. And, you know, have a look at it. Go on the internet, search it and just read more about it. But, you know, they're winning awards. You know, they're saving human lives. Very different to what lethal pest control companies would tell you. And then finally, this is one of our posters that we have. And you can go on our social media or you can contact us if you'd like to share it. But it's the wonderful world of rats. We had a lovely gentleman design these posters, and there's a whole range covering squirrels, rats, gulls, and some other animals too. Pigeons is the other one, sorry. But we did these posters because we wanted to get them out there so people could share them and understand actually rats are not as bad as people like to make out. You go on any website and they usually tell you rats are the horrible creatures, as we've all probably heard. But we want to change that narrative, and you know, we love them and we want other people to love them. And the way to get other people to love them is just by getting people to understand what they're all about, how they think, how they behave. And I think once you educate people, you can change that mindset from one of fear to one of appreciation or love in cases of people who will go to the Rat Awareness Week and are in those rat groups. So pests to some. So, you know, they've been given a hard time throughout the ages, being blamed from the plague to children's stories depicting them as evil creatures. And we have rats around us pretty much all the time. You know, the story is they're never 6 foot away from a rat is not true. But if you have a green space or a garden, there's likely going to be a very small family of rats living around. You know, they're very good at adapting to our urban and rural areas. And within those areas, if they find a really small food source, they will live there happily and not cause us harm. And like I always say, if you can make sure your home is secure and rats can't get in your home, there's no reason rats can't live in a garden and share our spaces with us. They don't pose any more of a risk to us than someone's cat or a dog. So, you know, they should be understood more and allowed to live in these spaces right next to where we live. Just another beautiful photo right there by Jennifer Dunn, who's one of our supporters of the business. So working with rats, as you can see, working with rats has proved to me over the years how clever they are, how they problem solve really easy, and just how tricky they can be to work with someone. Because they're so clever, they outwit me on a weekly basis. And I'm not afraid to say I'm outwitted by a rat because they're super intelligent creatures. But there's, you know, two main areas that rats and humans come into conflict, and that's around our homes and our businesses and in our gardens. So what can be done? This is what can be done. So for rats in our buildings, they can be troublesome to have within our home or our business, within the walls of a building, and they can be hard to get out. But there are ways that you can solve these issues, and there's no simple template. Every single job that I do, whether a consultation on rats all over the world or me going out on site visits in the UK, every single job has to be approached individually because there's no, like I said, template to solving any issue. You need to understand how they've gained entry to the building. Are they coming in via a neighbouring property? Are they coming in via the roof space? Are they digging under? Is there holes in the wall? You know, and then understanding what areas are they living within the house. A lot of the times it will just be in an attic space, but then sometimes without people even knowing, they may be under the kitchen counter, under the bathtub. So you have to then establish the range within a property if they're getting outside the walls and within a living space, because then you need to think of a different approach to deal with that. And then you need to understand, are they living in your building or the building, or are they just visiting? Because sometimes rats will live in a building and then go out, travel outside to a food source, or they may just be transient rats who are moving along, trying to look for new territory. They may just visit and then just disappear again. And then you get the occasions where rats simply are just coming in, looking for food, then going back out again. So a role reversal of the first scenario where they're living inside and going out. So the first thing to do, if you've got rats in your garden and you want to keep them there and you love them being there, that's absolutely fine. But I would always say, make sure your home is secure. The external of your property is nice and secure that rats just can't get in. Because in that way, you can be being able to enjoy the rats in the garden while have peace of mind that they're not going to be able to get into your home. So they can live in the back garden and live out their lives amongst us. And we can enjoy them. And no doubt they would enjoy whatever food source that they're getting to. Sometimes if you have rats inside a building, one of the things we do is called containment. So if there's several rooms that they can possibly get entry to, and you can limit that to one, and we do this by soft blocks, so we don't actually block them off. We use something to temporarily block it and allow the rats to reveal by chewing through certain soft blocks that we put in place to show us what the most active hole is. This really helps because if you've got a big house and let's say there's been rats upstairs and downstairs and there's holes in each of the rooms and you soft block them all, but the only ones which are active are the ones in a utility room, you know you can seal the rest of the home up and then work on the utility room. And you can then do, live catching if you need to. But just with live catching, it's an art. There's a lot to consider when you're doing live catching. Never just live catch a rat without seeking professional advice first, because you need to understand if that rat has got a young and they're feeding their young, you need to be able to identify that scenario and then know what to do if that is a scenario. We usually say, if you live catch a rat and it's obviously a female who's feeding young, you should let her go again. It sounds counterproductive, but we have to put the rat's welfare and the rat's family's welfare first. So by allowing that female rat to go back to young, the young are not going to starve and die and rot in your walls or under the floor. So it's really, really important. We have a complete guide to trapping, not just rats and mice, and this is live trapping, not lethal trapping, designed by a zoologist, Flo Blackburn, who we work with a lot across all the work we do. And she's put her expertise with ours into this document. So if you would like to have a look at the document because you've got a problem with rats, you're needing a trap, then please do get in touch and we can work through a plan to help you, as well as send out this document to help you. And then again, with catching rats, you need to then consider where you're going to take them. And our trapping guide covers all of that as well, to make sure when rats and mice again are released into the wild, they're not just put in unsuitable areas. You need to consider things like, do they have enough harbourage, which is somewhere for them to hide straight away? Is there going to be a potential food source and water source nearby? Making sure it's not near other people's homes so they're not put back into danger. You need to consider all these things. And again, a part of our services is that we research these safe release sites for rats. So when people are catching rats, we can say, right, you need to release the rat here because this gives them the best chance of surviving back in the wild. And some people will say you can't release them, they won't survive and they'll die. these are very, very hardy creatures. And a testament to that is, if you think rats are probably one of the most successful mammals in the world because they can exploit pretty much any environment they're put into. They're survivalists. And when you release them somewhere, if you make sure you cover all the points I said previously, then you know the rats have got a really good chance of surviving. They're hardy, hardy creatures, very intelligent creatures, and more than well enough equipped to survive in the wild. So rats in a garden, another lovely photo here from Jennifer Dunn. These two rats peering over the wall. I love this. Just, you can see the character in their little eyes as they're looking obviously on for more food, no doubt. And like I said previously, rats occur naturally in our gardens, and that's fine. If you see a rat in your garden, you don't need to panic. If you've got any concerns, then feel free to get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to talk through any concerns you have and help you, hopefully help you understand that rats are fantastic creatures and they deserve to live in our gardens as much as any other wildlife does. They're a part of our ecosystems now, whether we like it or not. And so we just need to learn how to live with them. And the biggest attraction, I guess, in gardens is going to be around rabbit runs, chicken coops, and bird feeders. And all of these can be sorted out without harming rats. So again, you don't need to worry about these situations if they do occur in your garden. So why non-lethal methods matter? Because really, if you think about it, for decades and decades, they've been using poisons, they've been using kill traps in our urban areas for so long. And they say year after year that rat populations are expanding and increasing. What does that tell you? To me, that would say that the methods they're using do not work. And what people don't realize sometimes is it's not only the rats which are victims here. When there's poisons put outside supermarkets or in gardens or in any area, that poison, if it does kill off the rat, which depending where you are in the country, it might not even kill off the rat, does affect non-target species. I've seen stories where a whole barn owl family has been eradicated through secondary poisoning because a neighbor of my clients was poisoning the rats in their garden, and the barn owls are swooping down, taking these lovely little rats away and feeding them to the young. Both parent owls and all chicks died because of the poisoning, and it is just horrendous. And this happens on such a huge scale. It not just puts wildlife at risk, but also pets, cats and dogs, and any other animal that would consume a poisoned rat or even consume the poison. Now, you would think putting poisons outside, surely this day and age would be a safe method. In the Netherlands, there was research done by KAD, which is a university, regarding the outside baiting. And you can see from this diagram here, on outside baiting, they used non-toxic bait here because they didn't want to kill anything. This was just purely for a research study into urban pests. Into urban and rural pests. And if you look at this, just look how many different species visited that bait station. Wood mice, voles, shrews, slugs and snails. And by the way, slugs and snails eating this can then pass this on to hedgehogs. Hedgehogs do visit them, birds, cats, amphibians. All these creatures are being put at risk because of the use of poisons. Surely that cannot be allowed to carry on. I would love to see poisons banned and alternative methods like what we deploy used. Because at the end of the day, poisons only treat the symptom. They may kill off a population, but as soon as they stop, another one will take over that territory. And people say, well, how do you know they will? Because if a family of rats are living in an area, they're living there because everything's there for them to survive, somewhere to live, somewhere to eat, somewhere to drink. So if a pest controller poisons or snap traps and kills these rats, of course more are going to return because there's a vacant space which offers them everything they need to survive. So if you take it from our approach where we remove these attractions, you'll then start to know that you take them away, all these attractions, that the rats won't return. And if they do, you've already proofed the building so they won't get in. So, it's just about changing the way we deal with them. And just to add to that, here in the UK, if you put poisons down for wood mice and wood mice or voles or shrews or hedgehogs or birds consume that poison, that is a crime because you're only legally allowed to poison house mice and rats. So you can't even poison mice outside, because house mice, and they live in the house. But wood mice and voles and shrews, you can't poison them. It would be a crime. So surely we need to readdress the way that we think about how lethal pest control companies put poisons down everywhere. Because not only does it contaminate the local ecosystem, it also harms non-target species. And again, that's not just wildlife, that's also pets. So that is my brief little presentation for Rat Awareness Week. If you have any questions or you want to get in touch, you can go on info@humanewildlifesolutions.co.uk. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or even on our website, and just type into Google Humane Wildlife Solutions and you'll find us. And lastly, thank you for loving for and caring about rats, both domestic and wild. And hopefully this goes a little way to infuse you about them and to show that there are other alternatives out there. So if you know someone, be it someone in a home or a business that has troubles with rats or even mice or any wildlife, they can get in touch with me. And my name is Kevin at Humane Wildlife Solutions, and we will find them a non-lethal, ethical, environmentally friendly alternative solution to lethal pest control. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the talk and do enjoy the rest of Rat Awareness Week. Bye now.